Alright, let's do this one last time, people. It's 8 a.m., one fine morning. You wake up, shower, have breakfast, organize your study space so everything's very tidy, and you're all motivated to begin your day with a productive study session. You turn to the first page of your textbook and start reading. I think you know the rest. In a perfect world, we'd be memorizing what we're studying within just minutes, but that's just not always the case. So in this college adventure, friends, I'm going to show you guys how to cut down your study time by more than half so that we won't turn out to be stressed out book zombies rotting away in our rooms for days when exam season approaches. All these tips are truly game changers, so make sure to stick around till the end. Tip number 1. Use cognitive load theory or CLT when making your notes. What on earth is cognitive load theory? This may sound fancy, friends, but it's just a bunch of strategies that great teachers use to help their students learn the content better and faster. If this is for teachers, why do we need it? No, don't leave just yet. I'll tell you exactly why students need to know about this too. So I've said in one of my previous videos that it's important to start making your notes from day one. These notes can be paragraphs, bullet points, mind maps, or any other format you prefer, but it's important to make sure you've got them done by the time exam season comes around. I also explain my method of taking notes and the structure that I like to use. So today, friends, I'm going to add a little bit more to that strategy of mine by using this psychological concept of CLT. Basically, according to this principle, there are 3 different types of cognitive loads or mental loads that we experience when learning. These involve the complexity of the content, its format, and our ability to connect the new content we just learned to things we already know. The goal of CLT is to reduce these cognitive loads so that we don't get overloaded and can remember what we learned better. So to do this, when making your notes, make sure that you follow these key points. Use worked examples to help clarify information. Condense the content as much as possible to avoid multiple pages of lengthy notes. Chunk down too lengthy or complex information to manageable parts using numbered bullets. Avoid redundancy. Although I don't recommend cramming out notes the day before the exam, having notes of this nature will help you to study much faster and reduce your study time greatly, helping you understand and also remember your information much better. Tip number 2. Follow the Pareto principle, aka the 80-20 rule. I know it sounds fancy too, but the Pareto principle simply means that 80% of the results will come from only 20% of the courses. This can apply to many scenarios including businesses, social circles, and many more. But if I explain it in the context of studying, 80% of your marks at your exam will likely come from only 20% of the effort you put in. What's more shocking than this is if you consider the opposite case scenario, because then that would mean that 80% of your effort generates only 20% of your final grade. I know, right? Shockingly disappointing. That's why the Pareto principle will help us decrease our studying time as well. So let's see how we can apply this rule when studying. Your textbook is most likely just filled with examples, explanations, and not necessary information for the most part. Only about 20% of the book gives you 80% of the information you need in the exam. The rest of the book is just filled and different ways of saying the same thing again and again. So with this rule, friends, the good news is that you don't have to read the entire book ever again to get what you need to know. But how do we know which 20% is that useful bit? I like to use a simple reading technique to overcome this problem. Read the first and last sentence in a paragraph at first rather than the entire thing. The first sentence will generally introduce the main idea of that paragraph, while the last sentence will usually give a summary of it. If you're familiar with your subject specification or curriculum and are aware of what you need to know under that particular lesson, you can then decide if this paragraph is worth your time or not. I know it seems like a simple thing to do, friends, but trust me, when you apply this strategy to read through a 200 to 300 page gigantic chemistry or biology textbook, and you've only got a few days before your exam, you'll thank me for all those hours you'll be saving. By the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to like it and subscribe to my channel. I really value and appreciate all your support. Tip number 3, practice active recall. You know those times when we go to our exam and we are asked a question and we can remember everything about the answer to that question, including the page it was in our textbook, but we just can't remember the answer itself? Genuinely, friends, it's so annoying when that happens. But don't worry anymore because I've got just the solution for it. Active recall. You see, friends, it's not just enough to feed information to your brain when studying, because feeding isn't what we do during the exam. Instead, we need to retrieve the information that's been fed, and if we don't practice doing this while revising, then we most likely won't be able to do it at the exam either. This is what active recall is all about. There are 2 ways that I suggest that you do this, friends, and it depends on what kind of exam you're studying for. Some subjects tend to test your memory more and your ability to recall memorized information faster. This can include subjects like biology, history, English literature, psychology, and more. Other subjects may tend to test your ability to understand the information and how well you can apply the concepts you know to situations that may be unfamiliar to you. These are often subjects like physics, chemistry, mathematics, etc. So for category 1 subjects, the best way to practice active recall is just to pull out a piece of paper and a pen and start jotting down everything you can remember after your study session, with your books closed. When you've written down everything you have in your memory, open your book and see what information you're missing. Whatever you couldn't write down from your memory, your brain hasn't fully processed yet. So, revise those parts again and repeat this active recall technique. If you're a college or university student, then over time you can even turn these sheets of paper into cheat sheets if you like. For category 2 subjects, I strongly recommend practicing many past papers repeatedly rather than simply using my jotting down from memory technique, because this way you tend to recall your knowledge and apply it to different types of exam style questions too. If you want to know my specific tips and advice for practicing past papers effectively, then make sure to watch the video linked above. It'll be worth the extra few minutes, I promise. If you enjoyed this, friends, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and comment down below which tip will you try out. Share this video with anyone else you think will find this useful too, so that we can grow a family of college adventurers together. Don't forget to check out my other videos linked here as well. As always, thank you for watching and see you in my next college adventure.